I'm gonna get into this. Like, no intro or anything, and I think I've done that for the last few days. But anyway, I cannot applaud enough how well done this Raw was. I haven't seen a Raw this well done in many years. TLC, of course, surprised me last night. Sure, they had a few matches that were slow as molasses and pointless, but they actually did do a good job here. Now, the one thing that I have noticed, and I'm just going to get straight into this. The one thing I have noticed is the fact that the Divas division, the whole Divas Revolution, is starting to come back a little bit because they were pushing it so much they were literally eclipsing the men. And that's not what you want to do. You want to make it a decent blend. You want to make it a well blend and also make these women equal to the guys and make their matches worth not more, but equally have that same amount of worth as the guys. And I'm noticing they're starting to taper back a bit. But the problem is with tapering back, they're tapering back the quality. Nobody really cares that much about Charlotte anymore. Nobody cares about Paige. Becky is starting to get a bit of a following, but a lot of people are pissed off about Sasha. And we had the We Want Sasha chance throughout the entire night. Team Bad really had no reason to be there. And the messed up part is we just saw Brie return back from her hiatus with no music, and Alicia Fox with no relevance and no music at all. Now, it's okay to taper off and at least try to push on up to the Royal Rumble and have those matches set up as well as those feuds. But you don't want to completely drown out the Divas division. You want to at least have it equal enough to where it has the same worth as all the other matches, and it's not a potty break or a pee break, if you will, whatever, that a lot of people consider it as. And I'm noticing that they're doing that with the Divas division. I'm hoping that they don't really cause it to extinguish. Because even though they're trying to set up Charlotte as a heel with her dad and everything, in my opinion, they're going to actually probably have a match at the Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte, leading on up to WrestleMania, with the possibility of Sasha Banks being number one contender. If that's the case, I'm fine with that. I love a triple threat between those three. But I'm hoping that they actually do bring out the 4 horsewomen. But anyway, I'm going way too ahead of myself. Let's talk about Raw. Now, like I said, this Raw was really well done. After last night, the reason why a lot of people are cheering for Roman Reigns, and this is my opinion, is that we finally saw some realness come out here. Roman Reigns had every right to be pissed. He had every right to be angry of what the authority has done to him and how many obstacles he's had to climb. Hence what happened with Daniel Bryan. That's why Daniel Bryan was so well loved. They did a great job making him relatable to the people. And that's exactly what they did at TLC last night. It made Roman Reigns look good. Now, the whole thing about bringing Vince McMahon out, in my opinion, was pointless because it kind of made him seem more irrelevant than we already know he is. And he just seemed to look like he was old and out of date and out of the times, and he just wasn't there for that whole segment that he had with Roman. And he didn't really seem like a very intimidating boss, even though in his mind he probably thought he was, but he's not. He seemed like a very senile old man. But I will say this, he pulled definitely a Stone Cold moment back in the day, like around the 90s at the main event, but I won't get into that. I will say this, his confrontation, his little moment that he had with Stephanie, it could have been better. It wasn't a bad opener. It wasn't. The way Roman actually did come out there, he did his best. He needs a little bit more work on the mic, especially if now that he's going to be the representative of the company, you got to work on his mic skills, people. You really do. And he can't be reading from a cue card, or at least in his brain, because he's not going to be a little bit more, he's not going to be creative. He's not going to have that open, that area to be a little bit more creative and kind of like winging it. And he doesn't do that. He's kind of thinking of what he's trying to say in his head. But the one thing that really pissed me off of that segment, as well as Vince McMahon's segment, is how much they made the cerebral assassin Triple H look feeble. We know that dude ain't feeble. He's been in multiple WrestleManias, multiple brutal matches, multiple Hell in a Cells, as well as the Elimination Chamber. That guy is hardcore as hardcore can be. Not to mention he's been in one of the most best streak matches I've ever witnessed in my entire life. There is nothing feeble about this guy. I would have been fine if they literally pumped up Triple H for a match at WrestleMania or something. And like, you know what, this may be a setback. You may have taken him down now, but you didn't take him out. Or at least have Roman Reigns say, okay, since you have the audacity, I have no respect for the guy. I mean, I don't have respect for the guy. I don't like him, but I will give credit where credit is due. Triple H has been in one of the best matches I have ever seen in my entire life, and he has my respect for his career. He has his legacy cemented. The fact that you have the audacity to say that the man was helpless, that shows how worthless you really are and how much you don't know about the business. If he said that, I would have been like on my feet clapping. But Roman Reigns literally just kind of had a shush mouth and didn't really know exactly what to say and just kind of like blanked out for a bit. And I'm like, you had so many things to say to her that will literally give her the legit reason to slap you, but you kind of held out. That's the only problem I had with that opener. He could have said something really snarky, but that's not Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the brute. And sometimes, I'm not going to say brutes don't have brains, because most of them do. Not all of them, though. He acted like a brute. A brute that uses more of his brawn than his brains. And I wish it was kind of both. But, you know, ended up being with the fact that Vince was coming back and all this other hype about Vince returning and all this other stuff. I actually did expect Triple H to come out, but we didn't see him tonight. But other than that, that whole build up to that point, it was interesting. I'm not going to lie. I was really intrigued to see Vince come back. We haven't seen him back in a year. Now, the matches of the night really weren't all that bad, but I will say this. The worst match of the night that could have been better was The Miz involvement with the match between Neville and Tyler Breeze. The Miz, I will give mad props to this dude. He gets in where he fits in. He tries to make himself fit in the situation, and he still keeps his character fresh, up to date, and literally keeps his role going. I guess that's the way of saying it. But him being a director of the match and him trying to learn and be in movies from trying to copy Neville's accent was stupid. It was all out dumb. I'm sorry. It made The Miz look like he was really desperate to have his 15 minutes. They could actually do a lot more to The Miz than what he is doing now. And I know they're trying to pump his movie because, in my opinion, I don't think anybody even bought that tape. But regardless, or DVD, whatever. But regardless, The Miz should not have been there. It would have been a great match without him there. But I will say the funniest moment is that we haven't seen R-Truth in months. Probably close to maybe a year. And he had his match with Bo Dallas. And all the distraction with Vince McMahon's coming and how he's going to be coming and talking and everything, he literally kicked them out the ring, ended their match early, which was kind of insulting to them. But it was classic Vince in general. But it was sad that R-Truth was there. He probably would have won that match if it continued because it was freaking Bo Dallas. I love me some Bo Dallas. And the one thing I kind of realized was the fact that you didn't hear Bo Dallas have a mic in his hand and he's talking about believe. The fact that he didn't even say that showed me that Bo Dallas was going to be there for long. He was either going to be squashed by R-Truth or the match was going to be cut short. And the messed up part is the match was cut short. They should have had their match. They should have had their moment. And even though Vince McMahon was classic Vince McMahon, I still think the match should have continued and should have came out after it was done. Because we haven't seen him in a while. They should have had that moment on Raw. That's just me. I think it was wrong. But other than that, guys, the main event itself. And I guess before I go into the main event, let's go to Dean Ambrose's match. Now, Dean Ambrose did have a match with Dolph Ziggler. Something that I didn't really expect to see Dolph tonight. Oh, who am I kidding? Yeah, we're going to see Dolph tonight. They're going to put Dolph in our faces because Dolph has to get his 15 minutes. Even though his feud now is pointless and he has really nowhere to go and no match to be in, he has to have his match. So at least it was against Dean. But I will say this. I like the way they actually had Kevin Owens up in there. They didn't play his music or anything, but they had him literally pissed off at Dean Ambrose for taking his belt. And he said he will literally make Dean Ambrose go crazy. He will make him go crazy. He will literally haunt him so much to where he'll be in an insane asylum. I like that. I really do. We're seeing a lot more aggression from Kevin Owens to the point where he is literally going to drive you insane. We all thought that Dean Ambrose was the only dude that can do that. I am kind of interested to see what they're going to do with Kevin Owens. Now, as for the Divas match, the Divas match was irrelevant tonight. It just was pointless. It makes me sad to actually say that, but it was. After what we witnessed for the tag team match last night, the Divas were irrelevant tonight. They should have took the night off. Seriously. There should not have been a Divas match at all between Becky and Becky and Charlotte versus Alicia Fox and Brie. And Brie was making her return, and I thought it would be better than that. But honestly, we didn't even see Brie come out. There was no pomp and circumstance. It seems to me that the Bella twins are starting to be X'd out, especially now that that Nikki is still, well, some people will say injured. But all I can say is that, hey, she's not working. She's off. She wasn't there. I have no idea if she's still injured or not, or what her injuries are. But hey, all I can say is that she's not there. But other than that, I will say this. The Divas match should not have happened tonight. It shouldn't have. And I love to say everything I can about the Divas, but I'm going to be real. They should not have had a match tonight. They should have taken the day off, because there was so much hype about some of the matches that happened at TLC that they got eclipsed by it. Because like I said on my review, they felt like they was phoning it in, and they didn't really give it their best. That's what I saw. So they shouldn't have been there tonight. They should have had the night off. But moving on from the matches that I just talked about, on up to Team ECW versus the Wyatt family. I gotta applaud this. I really do. Because they're finally getting it. And I hope they keep it this way. The Wyatt family needed the win more than Team ECW. Even though they were in Philly, they needed to win more. And the Philly crowd was amazing. They weren't jerks tonight. They're always jerks. We expect the Philly crowd to be jerks. But they were really respectful tonight, and they gave mad props not only to the Wyatt family for their win, they gave the mad props to the New Day towards their segment towards the very end. But the Team ECW match versus the Wyatts was an excellent match. Sure, it started off slow at first, but it picked up pace really quick. It didn't take that long for it to move on. And man, Team ECW gave it the ECW freaking treatment. They took the Wyatts to school. They were desperate for their win. But the Wyatts ended up getting the win, but they had to earn it. And that's what they did. That's what they're supposed to do. Not have a squash match with John Cena or any other person and not have them being pushed. They actually had Team ECW give them the ride of their lives and had to earn the respect that they should have gotten a long time ago. That is what you're supposed to do. And they did that, and they did that well. I give a round of applause, tip my imaginary hat as well as my headband, well, scarf or whatever, to the WWE for doing a good job for that match. Now, let's move on from that match onto the match of the night. Now, well, actually, let me go back to the segment. There's so much to talk about here. But I will say this. Like I said before, Vince McMahon tried to make himself look like a very intimidating guy, but I think he knows deep down he's not anymore. He's in his 70s. He's out of touch. Nobody really cares that much about Vince anymore. We haven't seen him in a year, but I will say it was disappointing. I kind of expect a little bit more out of Vince after not seeing him for a year. You would think you'd get a little bit more out of him, except for the whole predictable outcome leading on up to Roman Reigns in the very end. But not really predictable outcome, but predictable setup. I'll say that. That's better. Predictable setup leading on up to the main event. But other than that, the whole kick to the balls, I didn't expect that at all. Well, actually, it was typical Vince, but it just made Vince look like a punk. It did. I thought that Vince would be a little bit better than that, like try to throw a swing, but he really sucks at fighting, so I guess I can expect the low blow. But hey, for a dude that got kicked in the jewels, Roman Reigns surely did deliver for the main event. And I will say this, the fact that Sheamus had to come out and speak for Vince made Vince seem a little bit less intimidating than I anticipated him being. Vince McMahon has always been an intimidating dude. Like, no matter what he would ever do, no matter how old he got, he would always be an intimidating guy. He is like as docile as a puppy now. The fact you had Sheamus come out there and speak for you really made Vince McMahon look very docile, and I think that was a bad call. But more than likely, Vince probably made that call on his own, and he probably doesn't care how he looks anymore. So other than that, I'll let that slide. But the one thing that I'm going to say about it is this, and before I move on to the main event, and I will get there, I'm going to talk about the segment with the New Day. I was absolutely amazed in how respectful the New Day was. Now, the New Day, yeah, they're a bunch of condescending heels. We get that. But the one thing I love it is when they break kayfabe to give credit where credit is due. Those men nearly died last night. If that Philly crowd booed them for that moment, I would have been pissed. Because I'm like, look, you guys were really respectful all night. Did you have to go back to being a bunch of jerks? And honestly, they weren't. I give mad props to the Philly crowd because the Philly crowd literally was pandered to all night. They had the matches they wanted. They had the people who they wanted. Shoot, Roman Reigns had the biggest pop of his life, maybe because of what happened last night. They actually put some emotion in the guy, and he had the biggest pop in Philly, I might add, that I never thought he would ever have. But besides all that, the New Day were highly respectful because respectful towards their opponents, and then they went back being New Day. But let's be real here. Those guys nearly died last night. Kalisto nearly died last night. No lie. From that move that he did off the top of that ladder was amazing. And I think it was the Salida del Sol. I could have said it wrong if I did leave in the comments. But he did that move off the top of that ladder. Literally flipped over. And I think it was Jimmy that went down. Wow. All I have to say is that Kalisto nearly died last night to entertain everybody. They broke their bodies in half. Kofi went through a freaking ladder, broke it in half, nearly broke his back. They gave it their all last night. I'm going to be honest here. They literally, as a tag team title match, they surpassed, and I never thought that I could be saying this, they surpassed both Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudley Boys in any TLC match they have ever done. They surpassed it. I never thought that could ever happen, but they surpassed it last night. They made that match amazing to where people did not fall asleep. They made it amazing. They nearly died that night. And I know there were some spectacular spots for the matches that the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian did back in the day. But by far, they topped that. I'm sorry. I'm saying it right now. They topped that by far. And the New Day knew it. And they respected it. They respected the match. They respected them. They respected everything about it. Because they literally put the tag team division back on the map again. Before, it was just those 3 tag teams that had that tag team division going. Now they are literally trying to bring it back, and they did that night. And they had mad respect. Mad respect from the crowd. Mad respect for New Day. Mad respect for that segment. Seriously. I have never been gushing about a Raw like this in my life. But I gotta give mad respect for the New Day for that. And I gotta give mad respect for the New Day for them going back to being a New Day and having the crap be out of them. But hey, Philly was well behaved last night. They were well behaved tonight. They were well behaved tonight. I gotta give props to Philly. Good job, y'all. Y'all do have some manners. Good job. Good job to Philly. I really do have mad props for y'all. I really see y'all in a whole new light. But anyway, let's move on to the main event. Now, the main event had a lot of predictions in my head. A lot of outcomes that I could automatically predict in my head of how it was set up. But man, I like being wrong. I like being wrong. The way they did it was amazing. Seriously. It was either Roman Reigns was going to go ballistic on everybody again and literally Brock Lesnar the entire company until he got what he wanted, or he was going to win tonight. I haven't seen a WWE title change hands in years. And the way they did it was a really well done payoff for Roman Reigns. A lot of people will be like, this is another pay-per-view match. What are you doing? You shouldn't be showing it on free TV. Here's the thing. They're riding high from TLC last night. They had to give a decent payoff, especially the fact that you got SmackDown coming to USA next year. You got to give people a reason to watch. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with throwing a bone to the crowd. If you do it every single night, yeah, you're wasting money. But if you do it that one time, it makes it special. Roman Reigns has literally been through hell and back. Just same thing as what Daniel Bryan did to get to his title. They did a good job with the build. Even though the build was short, they did a great job with it. And his fight with Sheamus, even though there was so many obstacles coming through, he broke through them. He even Superman punched Vince. Now, there's going to be even more hell to pay for the next week. But honestly, I am looking forward to seeing it next week because we actually do have Roman Reigns as a winner. No interruptions, none of all that. He had his moment in the ring. After all that, after losing on the pay-per-view over and over and over again, after losing at WrestleMania to Seth Rollins, after losing every chance after chance after chance, he finally grabbed that brass ring, and they showed it on TV. They showed it on primetime television. They did a good job with that. I am not going to lie. They really did. If the ratings aren't high, I would be really, really shocked because they did a great job building on up to the Rumble. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the Rumble's going to play out. But honestly, guys, my overall thoughts is this. I have never gushed about a Raw in my entire life. I have never thought I would see so much positive moments coming out of here. Sure, like I said, the Divas division, the Divas match should not have ever happened. They should have taken the night off. But despite all that, they did a great job building on up to the Royal Rumble, building on up to these feuds. They are doing what they were supposed to be doing 20 some odd years ago. Probably maybe a little bit less than that, but either or, they're doing it. They're finally doing it. If it's like this every single night, they're gonna build up more ratings instead of having the same thing over and over again. And I really do believe that this is an experiment. What they're doing with Roman, they might do it with Cena. Who knows? You might see some changes next year. And I'm actually seeing a lot of positive changes here. I have never gushed about a Raw like this in my life. But honestly, guys, this was amazing. This really was. This was a really great Raw. And honestly, I cannot say that this was... I cannot say... I can't gush more about it enough. But for those who are wondering, who haven't seen Raw, you need to go back and see it. Seriously, you need to go back and see it. This is probably maybe 1, 3, 4 times, whatever. But I'm saying, like, if you have the network and you haven't seen it, go back and see it. Because I can't gush enough of how great this was. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts down below. Leave a comment in the comment section below about what you feel about this Raw. Whether you think it's great, whether you think the build wasn't enough. I want to hear your thoughts because I'm pretty much all flat out of words to say. Because this was a wonderful Raw to watch. I enjoyed myself. I literally was not tired. This was amazing. I think it was great. And I can't gush more enough. And I think I'm out of words and out of breath and out of a voice. So I'm about to leave. Peace out, y'all. I will see y'all later. Nature Girl out.